So guys, welcome back. It's been a while. Bit of a different video today. I'm going to be going over something that I feel like needs to be talked about more on YouTube, especially for people in the UK and also people that are looking to get into this. And having worked in this field for a bit of time now, I feel like I have a bit of knowledge that maybe the average person doesn't, and might be of use to you. So today we're going to be talking about buying precious metals. Now, you might be looking at buying silver, you might be looking at buying gold. Everyone's going to have their own preferences. It's something I got into probably 2 years ago, just as a hobby really, and as a kind of investment outside of just stocks and shares and crypto, etc. However, I didn't really know much about it, and you make all the mistakes everyone else makes. But having now worked as a career in this industry, I've learned a lot of things that maybe the average gold or silver investor doesn't know. So I'm going to just go through some really basic stuff in this video, and if you're thinking about buying precious metals, maybe this will help you make a better decision or avoid any things that might cause you to get burned. So the very first thing is spread. So I'm just going to move this stuff to the side for a second. So spread is, if you don't know what the spread is, it's basically the amount you pay above and below the spot price. So the spot price is what you see on the market. So if you're looking at the gold price online, let's say you're on a website called TradingView, which is quite popular, you'll see the gold price for the month doing, whatever movement, and it will say XAU against the USD, which is against the US dollar. So it'll be the price of gold against the US dollar. Usually it's priced in ounces, and this is like what people refer to as the spot price. It's like the market price. So the thing is, when you buy gold, you're never really going to be able to buy at this price unless you've got a really good deal or a good contact, or you're being scammed. So you're always going to be paying slightly above this price when you buy, and typically when you sell to a dealer, it's different if you're selling peer-to-peer, but let's talk about just what the average person is going to be doing. If you're selling to a dealer, they're going to offer you a price slightly below this. So to give you an example, let's say the spot price is £2,000, right? Dealer might charge you £2,100, and then when you sell it, they might charge you, or they might offer you 1,900. So the spot price is here at 2,000. They're offering to sell you £100 above, and they're offering to buy back £100 below. So you've got a £200 spread. Okay. Now this will vary. So like different things. So like you'll have gold bars, you'll have gold coins, you'll have silver coins, silver bars. This will vary. Typically, dealers will have a fixed rate that they buy back at. So some dealers will buy back at 96, 97% of the spot price, but their buy price will be varied depending on what it is. So whether it's a bar, a coin, if it's big, small. And this is the thing that most people don't understand, and they get burnt when they're buying gold and silver by this, because the bigger this spread is, the more your investment needs to grow to even break even. So like, for example, if you purchased this at 2,100 and you sold it straight away for 1,900, you've just taken a £200 loss on your investment, right? So a lot of people don't understand the spread properly, and they'll buy a really badly priced coin or bar, and then they're waiting for months and months just for their money to break even before they make any profit on it. So that's the first thing to look out for when you're buying gold and silver. Pay attention to the spot price and what the dealer or the person you're buying from is charging above that spot price, and if you think it's reasonable. Best thing to do is compare with other dealers and other people selling as well. So next point for that one's a little bit confusing as a first point, but it's really important. The next thing is where do you buy it, right? There's lots of people selling gold and silver. There's big companies doing it. There's people on eBay doing it. There's people on Facebook, etc. If you're just starting out, I would not recommend that you buy from eBay or Facebook, purely because the people on eBay or Facebook typically don't buy from the source, and they're also not able to test what they're selling. So you might buy a gold coin, for example, from, I don't know, Facebook, and you have no clue if this is real or not. And you could say the same thing when you buy from a dealer, but the difference with the dealers is they typically have the machines to test if stuff is real, and you can actually just go to their shop and ask them to test it in front of you if you're really unsure, and that's the best way of seeing if it's real. Obviously, reviews, testimonies does help a lot. If tens of thousands of people are saying this is a trusted company, chances are it probably is fine. You know, especially in this industry, like, the reputation is so important. If this company had a bad reputation, even slightly, you would know. So that's another thing, where to buy. I think when you're starting out, you want to look at the major dealers. So you've got Bullion by Post, you've got Atkinson's, you've got Shards, you've got the Pure Gold Company, Hatton Garden Metals, just to name a few. Gold.co.uk. They're not going to be as competitively priced as maybe smaller dealers or people selling on eBay or Facebook, but you're pretty much guaranteed to get something genuine. And if there ever was a problem, they would actually, you know, reimburse you if they gave you something dodgy. Whereas I can't say the same for people on Facebook or eBay. The thing, what you want to do though, is these companies are going to have different pricing, and you really want to shop around and see what kind of prices they're all offering for the same products. If it's all similar, then I guess just go with the most trusted one or the one you like best. If there's a bit of a discrepancy, I would call them up and just discuss that, because a lot of these companies are in competition with each other, and more often than not, they're open to price matching as well. So that's something else to consider. But the buying part's relatively easy nowadays. You can just buy online. You can get it delivered to your house in the post, or you can go and collect it from them. It's really not that hard to get it. Last thing I wanted to cover, which is pretty important if you live in the UK, which I think most of you watching this will be living in the UK. Not all gold is capital gains tax exempt. So some people think all gold is free from capital gains tax, which is not true. It's only a select few coins from the Royal Mint that have a face value. If you're really after capital gains tax exempt coins, I will explain this more on another video. But most major dealers, you can filter their product selection by this, and you can choose to just buy CGT free gold. Typically it's just stuff made by the Royal Mint. So for example, this coin would not be. This is made by the Austrian Mint. It's a restrike of a 20 Corona. Probably means nothing to you unless you know what this is. But yeah, this coin wouldn't be, because it's not a British coin and it's not legal tender here. Same goes for gold bars. They're not going to be classed as legal tender because they haven't got a face value. They're literally just an investment grade gold bar. Last thing for beginners, that is probably, this could be the most important thing for beginners, because a lot of beginners are going to be buying silver. Buying silver in the UK is a bit of a minefield, to be honest, because you have to pay VAT on top of the price you pay. So with gold, you don't get charged VAT. There's no VAT applicable to gold. But with silver, you have to pay VAT unless you're buying it second hand, which we'll get into in a minute. The problem with this is you basically make it very hard to make any money when you're buying silver in this way, because not only does silver have a higher premium than gold anyway. So imagine you have two coins the same, one silver, one gold. They're going to cost roughly the same amount to produce. You know, the manufacturing cost on them is basically the same. They're melting the metal down, pouring it into a cast, and, you know, stamping the designs on them. Except the price of that manufacturing, like the cost of that manufacturing is going to be a fixed amount. The price per gram of silver is so different to gold that that cost of manufacturing is going to look a lot bigger against silver than it is against gold. So with silver, let's say the manufacturing cost on gold costs, I don't know, 0.25%. It might be 2% on silver, which, that's 10 times the amount. And that's quite significant. So you've got that. But then when you throw in VAT as well, I mean, it's not uncommon to see dealers selling a 1 ounce silver coin for anywhere from 30 to 50% premium above the spot price of silver, which is pretty massive, because if you're buying silver and you're buying it as an investment, as soon as you buy it, you're basically down between 30 and 50%, which is, it's not ideal. And a lot of people don't know this. They don't actually factor this in when they're buying it. And then when they do the maths later, after they bought it, they realize, they've taken a big hit on the VAT. And you can't just claim that VAT back if you bought it on your personal card. It's, you basically got to take a hit on it. So there's only two real ways to avoid this. I'm going to tell you both. If you're a beginner, I wouldn't recommend doing the second one unless you want to risk it a bit. It's a bit more risky. The first one is buying second-hand silver. This is just what major dealers call it. It's their way of selling silver for a better price, and they're not charging you the VAT. So let's say a dealer's selling this for £55 or £60 with the VAT. They might sell a second-hand version of it for £50. So you're saving maybe £5, which if you're buying a lot of coins is pretty significant. The only difference is because they're selling it as second-hand, it means they're buying coins from other people. So they might sell new silver that they bought from the mint. This one's a Krugerrand, but they might be selling a Britannia that they bought from the producer. If they're selling second-hand silver, it will be silver that they've bought from somebody else, like a random member of the public. They've tested it, made sure it's real, and they're reselling it on at a discounted rate. So this is one way, and this is probably the best way for a beginner to get into buying silver. It's the way you're going to get least burnt on the premiums and not paying the VAT. Most major dealers, so Bullion by Post, Atkinson's, Shards, Gold.co.uk, just to name a few, these are pretty well known. They're all going to do some form of this. It's quite popular. Most people are aware of this, and it does sell out quickly, so you've got to be quite in tune with when they have it in stock. The only other way, which is a cheaper version of doing this, is buying silver peer-to-peer, which just means you're not using a dealer, you're buying it straight from someone who has it themselves. So the places you'd want to do that is eBay, but typically eBay is a little bit more expensive because you've got the buyer protection fees and all of eBay's fees. You've got Facebook and you've got forums. The silver forum's a classic one if you're buying silver, right? This is a little bit more when you're you're a bit more advanced of buying. It's not hard, it's just you might not trust buying from here straight away, and you might not feel comfortable doing that. But you're going to get better pricing for silver doing that, because people are going to be selling with even less premium because the second-hand silver the dealers sell will still have a premium added on so that they can make profit. Whereas the people selling it themselves, yes, they'll be selling it for a bit of a profit, but less than this. So they might sell it for, say, I don't know, let's say that the silver with the VAT costs £60 an ounce. Let's say the second-hand silver the dealers sell is £55 an ounce. And then on, I don't know, let's say on Facebook, you can buy it for £49 an ounce. And let's say the spot price is £37 an ounce, right? So you're paying nearly double if you buy it new with VAT. You're paying a bit less if you buy it second-hand from the dealer. And you're paying, as close to the spot as you can get when you're buying it peer-to-peer. That's how I'd recommend going about silver. I really wouldn't recommend buying silver just with the VAT added. The website should tell you that there's VAT added, you can see on the unit price, and you want to really look at that. But yeah, silver is a bit of a tricky one to buy in the UK. It's unfortunate, and I know in other countries it's a lot more similar to gold. You don't have to go through all these problems, but yeah. But silver is very popular. You know, it's a lot easier to get a big collection of silver. You know, if you're buying a coin this big made of gold, it's going to cost you about £3,000. This is only going to cost you in the region of, you know, £40 to £60 per coin. So it's a lot more beginner friendly and for people that don't have much money. But the kind of flip side of that, the double-edged sword, is that you're actually going to be having to make more % return to make any money. Right, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Bit of a different one. Just a topic I'm pretty interested in and I wanted to start talking about. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, leave a comment, let me know what you want me to talk about in the next one. I probably will make more videos about this or about gold and silver in general. Yeah, if you have any questions, drop it in the comments. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video.